What's up, guys? Brandon here from Big RG Gaming, and today we are doing something a little different, and we're also back on the phone. Okay, so today I am going to show you my idea of a possible Sonic timeline, starting with Sonic Schoolhouse and ending with Sonic Generations. So let's begin. So obviously, we're going to be using this book, The History of Sonic the Hedgehog, to guide us along. So the first game in the timeline is Sonic Schoolhouse, where classic Sonic or baby Sonic learns all the stuff he'll need for his first adventure. So yeah, you won't be able to read that. So yeah. Not many spin-off games are here, but during this point in time, this is where all the Tails spin-off games come in. Now, the next game is farther back and forwarder, more forward. Sonic the Hedgehog. His first adventure was next. Not too confusing yet, right? Alright. The next game was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, obviously, the sequel. And in between this time is actually, oh my gosh, sorry. So, in between Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic CD happens because Tails is yet to be found. Then Sonic 2 happens, and what I call the Death Egg Saga comes into place, and so the Death Egg is here, and then in Sonic 3, it crash lands on Angel Island, and he gets it back floating, but at the end, he gets it back into the sky. Now, Sonic & Knuckles was originally going to be part of Sonic 3, but it became its own standalone game because the cartridge was being too big. So, what we got is a game with lock-on technology. And so, yeah, we got if we locked on Sonic 3, we got an extremely long game, 3 characters, 4 possibilities, different level design, different abilities. Every character brought something new to the table without changing the formula too much. But this is a video about the timeline, not the games themselves. But I just wanted to point that out. After Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic takes a big break, like a 10-year break. A 10-year break. And in between this time, this is where every single Sonic spin-off game happens, except a couple. So, like, all the classic Sonic spin-off games. Then, when Sonic has been gone for a long time, so then Eggman returns, and it's up to Sonic to save the world again. This is Sonic Advanced. Yes, that's right. Sonic Advanced. Some people actually, I've heard some people call this the Sonic 4 on YouTube. The real true Sonic 4, but is basically like in my timeline, it's a continuation of the classic franchise. Ignore the barking, it's my dog. So then Sonic Advance 2 happens, it continues Sonic Advance. The next game in the timeline is not Sonic Advance 3, but rather Sonic Battle. I'll explain. Basically, Sonic Battle introduces the character Ermel, which there's a robot in Sonic Advance 3, which is Germel, who is built off of Ermel's data. And I'll actually show you right here. It says, oh gosh. Oh, it doesn't say. Oh, wait a minute. That's actually Sonic in here. Sonic Battle story continues in Sonic Advance 3 with the appearance of the robot Germel built from Ermel's data. So now, Sonic Advance 3, obviously. then the next game is not Sonic Rush, but rather, this is the point in time where Sonic feels a bit nostalgic and wants to go back to Green Hill or South Island itself. So he starts his journey back. In between this point in time, this is where Sonic Unleashed happens. The reason Sonic Unleashed happens here is because this is where Sonic gets his homing attack and where the planet breaks into pieces, and that is a big factor for the Sonic 4 saga. Because in the Sonic 4 saga, everything isn't like it was. Some things are completely different, some are just a little out of place. So the continents break up, but where South Island is, it was chaos. Land masses shifted hugely. And after fixing the planet, Sonic decided and kept going back, and he made it. Hence, Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Okay, then episode 2 happens, and Tails comes back. The modern Tails comes back with the classic tornado, because the modern tornado, or Tornado 2 hasn't been created yet. So right now, Sonic is so then Sonic decides to go back on adventuring. This is where Sonic Adventure takes place. He has the homing attack, he has Tails, Knuckles, and Amy and stuff. So this is where the modern tornado comes. And Sonic and friends start actually talking to one another. So, well, in the canonical game timeline, in the thing of time, so, yeah, then obviously Sonic Adventure 2, because it's the sequel to the game. Then, after this, Shadow the Hedgehog, not Sonic Heroes, because this marks the return of Shadow after he died in Sonic Adventure 2. Then, Sonic Heroes happens, introduces Omega, which is a robot that's been in the franchise even in the Mario and Sonic games. So, yeah. Then, this is where it gets a teeny-weeny bit confusing. Sonic 06. Oh, God. Very, very annoying. Terribly annoying. So, yeah, after this glitchy mess of a game, in the end, Elise has 3 choices she can make. She can blow out the flame, having Sonic 06 happen again, and the outcome being different, and it going on to Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight, and that'll be called the comical Sonic timeline. The next one in the timeline is the Sonic Boom timeline. Yes, you heard me right. Sonic 06 could make Sonic Boom happen. What happens is Elise doesn't blow out Solaris' flame. Then, the world gets rearranged as Solaris sees fit. And that is where the whole thing resets to the beginning, and Sonic Boom Rides of Lyric happens, then Shattered Crystal, then Fire and Ice, then the TV show. Essentially. Now, after that whole thing, now the next one in the timeline is the Rivals timeline. The Rivals timeline is where Sonic Rivals happens, and both of those games happen, and then Sonic makes a pretty big name for himself in racing. And in that version, Sonic 06, Elise blows out the flame, and it never happens. So then he makes a name for himself in racing instead of going on the world cruising adventure of Sonic 06. And holy cow, why is this getting blurry? But then he goes on to race in go-karts instead of on foot, and he was like, wow, this is pretty cool. That is where the Mario and Sonic games take place, eventually taking place in bigger competitions, namely the Olympics. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but to me it makes perfect sense. Now, we are going to follow the comical timeline. So the next game is Sonic and the Secret Rings, where Sonic is in the Book of the Arabian Nights. And so, yeah. And then that's where he's a little less edgy than he was in Sonic 06. Then he gets even less edgier in Sonic and the Black Knight, so he's not all, like, tense and crazy and all over the top, and yeah. Then Sonic Colors. Now, Sonic Colors is the game where Sonic decides to become more of a comic than anything else, and decides to be more funny as he takes on Eggman, and Eggman builds an amusement park, and yeah, he gets back to Earth, the amusement park is destroyed, but the Wisps aren't entirely gone from the planet. Now, what happened is a couple kind of decided to follow Sonic, and these are the ones that were seen in Sonic Lost World. Yep, Sonic Lost World is the next game in the timeline, not Generations. So because when Sonic Lost World happens, which is not in this book, it kind of like sets back and everything is back to normal. The next game is Sonic Generations. Now, let me tell you, there are two parts to this. There's the part that is in between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, namely Classic Sonic. And then there's the modern part, Modern Sonic. We already passed the classic part way back in between, like maybe 25 years ago. I don't know. But the modern part happens, and Eggman and Old Robotnik are trapped forever in the White Void. And since young Robotnik was trapped in, now current day Eggman never ceased to exist because they would eventually die from hunger and starvation and thirst. So yeah, the end of the Sonic timeline ends with Eggman dying in the White Void. Didn't see that one coming. Well, that's about it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Comment on what you would like to see on Sonic or anything else that I like to cover. And this is Brandon from Big McClargy's Gaming, signing it. Goodbye.